What is up, guys? We are going to be looking at the Elementalist slash Tempest for the upcoming PvP for August 9th, which is right around the corner. Big speculation, obviously, because the big meta was based off of the Cleric. Well, now that Cleric is gone, a lot of people think LE slash Tempest is kind of doomed now because of the lack of survivability and the healing aspect. Well, I kind of have my thoughts, and I'm going to kind of put this out here. I'm going to kind of show you some builds that I was using last season that was an even part of the meta that I thought was on par. If not, I felt personally better when it came down to me doing like 1v1s to actually kill someone relatively easy while being able to be relatively supportive. Yeah, I get it. When you're running that support role, the healing is really great, along with a couple other things that the Cleric was able to do compared to whatever I was doing. But I kind of like to be, when I was playing Ellie, I like the ability to put pressure on an opponent while being able to keep my health high, and by being able to have relatively high health with a little bit more defense, kind of gives me a little bit extra pressure whenever I get a lot of condies on myself, due to the fact that yes, I have a lot of condi cleanse. It's just better off for myself to be able to just stay in the fight a little bit longer without having to feel that I'm pressured, because I've been able to get away from a lot of stuff. So, without further ado, let's continue on with what I am kind of talking about. So, as of right now, with Clerics being gone, I know the meta is going to be starting to shift with Menders. I will show a Menders build to my liking compared to what Metabattle is kind of going to show. But this is what I've been running with, and I think this is still going to be good in my opinion. I don't really care what anyone else would say. I just feel I like both roles of being both offense and defense at the same time. And I feel like with Ellie being very good damage, like why not go a little bit more on the damage route while being a little bit tanky, especially with all of the capabilities of still holding that offensive nature without going into the fire trait, while being able to be supportive for the allies. So, I'm running Dagger Focus with Sickle of Blood and Sickle of Air. Since I have the 54% chance of crit, I will be able to get a little bit of health back on a 5-second cooldown, which is nice. I know there's leeching that we could be using, but I think that with the high crit, with Fury and all that stuff, I think, in my personal opinion, I think we will get better results with Sickle of Blood over the leeching. And with air, we're dishing out a little bit more damage. You don't really need anything in regards to like healing on weapon swap or anything like that, just because we're not expecting healing. So why not dish out a little bit of damage, especially since we're critting anyways. It kind of goes to show a little bit whenever we do some quick rotations with it. I'm running Rune of the Soldier, which is obviously a no-brainer when we're running both offense and defense. We kind of want to maintain this rune just because of all the shouts, being able to remove a lot of condi from your allies just from running Feel the Burn and Flash Freeze, on top of just our healing alone with wash the pain away. But of course, like when we go into water, we could remove a lot. But we want to try to use water as a last resort, just because water, like once we drain water, like the enemy, if they're really good, they're going to know that it's on, let's say, like a 10 to 20 second cooldown. So in that time period, they're going to want to heavy burst you. And if you can't get a decent amount of heals, like, we're screwed. So we want to try to at least alleviate a little bit of the overload in the water. We might want to just go into water straight, blast like a little bit. But as of right now, I just wanted to just put that out there. That's the one thing that sucks the most when you're not actually full blown healing mode. All that extra healing kind of just pays off when you're in that role. But with this, with the compensation of both armor and health, it kind of, I like the balance of it. But with the dagger and the focus, it's kind of just the typical meta of how it already has been. We want the focus over Warhorn and dagger just for the pure utility skills of keeping yourself alive. So by keeping yourself alive, you want to have overload air as much as possible. So by being with this build, with damage wise as well, we want to maintain our shocking aura with this one and with it being overloaded. So with running Swirling Winds, definitely bread and butter when it comes down to projectiles. Like if you're not using this when you're fighting against people with projectiles, I don't even know what's going on. But it's really great when you're in the middle of the fight and you have a longbow ranger or a dragon hunter just pewing you in the face, or even a pistol thief, and you just drop Swirling Winds down. You're safe for 6 seconds, and you're great to be able to put some extra pressure on them to either have them backpedal or have them weapon swap to something else because of their lack of skills from shooting within the wind. Gale is going to be your go-to for good CC when we're going to be focusing, especially if you're doing a lot of team chat. Being able to say, hey, we're going to be focusing this dude, we're going to knock this dude down. It's unblockable, which is great. And that's pretty much just about it, besides just, you know, the auto attack rotation while you're waiting for the overload. But yeah, you're going to be bouncing between fire and earth and water, like I said, as kind of like a last resort. The fire attunement, the fire shield is going to be good by being able to give you protection, which I will be showing all of my traits in just a second. I'm just kind of going over all the stuff just as I have this on my head before we go on to the actual traits themselves. So the flame wall is definitely great whenever you want to blast some might. So yeah, you can, it's very risky, but I like playing risky sometimes when it comes down to it, where we could just blast might. So you could overload fire, and then you could create a flame wall, go into water, blast into that, go into earth, blast, and then you would have 15, almost 20 stacks of might, and you could bulldoze the enemy team, which we've done at mid. And it's actually kind of funny whenever you easily bulldoze someone when you have almost 25 stacks of might, if not 25 stacks of might at the very beginning, which is very crucial so we could get 2 points as fast as possible. But other than that, you want to do the main rotation of using like the burning speed, Drake's breath. I mean, everyone kind of just knows the fire line is the big powerhouse when it comes down to whenever you're not using air, especially when it's off cooldown. We're not running fresh air, so it's going to be on that 15 to 20 second cooldown. So we're going to have to go through something else while we are waiting it out. With earth, we definitely have our, I like to call saver butt, saver ass, whatever you want to call it, when it comes down to either Condy cleanse or you're getting your ass handed and you need to regroup, move around, need to do whatever you need to do to get repositioned so that way you're not going to be dead. So Magnetic Wave is fantastic. It not only does reflection for 3 seconds, but it also does not 1, not 2, but cleans 3 conditions, which is fantastic on a 20-second cooldown. That is awesome. That is equivalent to practically just doing not air overload, but water overload. Like, that's just great. And it's roughly the same cooldown, so you can just bounce between all that stuff. But Obsidian Flesh kind of used within discretion, just because it is 40 second on a cooldown with a 4 second duration, especially with the prevent capture points be careful whenever you're doing a lot of 1v1s on point, because when you activate it, the enemy team will be obtaining that point while you're pretty much invulnerable. So just do that whenever it's in a team fight or when it's literally like a last resort. Everything else within it, I don't really use much. Like, I don't really use my 1, 2, or 3 as much unless if I have like a fire field or anything up, so that way I could use Magnetic Grasp to get myself a shield. But other than that, let's just talk about some water. So water's great. We got Frozen Burst, so we could use this as a blast finisher for either fire field, water field, you know, like lightning field for swiftness, or, you know, just anything else that we need up. Don't really have that many like wells from necromancers or anything to do any type of like darkness or anything like that. Might have anything for mesmers for some chaos stuff, but other than that, there's not really that much out there besides just the typical light field for retaliation, fire for might, and extra healing. So common is kind of your other stun break for the, not stun break, but just a stunner to break them down with the quick daze, and with it being 2 seconds of a daze, definitely knocks them down for a good loop and kind of gives you the ability to put some extra pressure on the opponent. The Freezing Gust is really great. You chill your foe for a brief period of time, 3 seconds. I know I don't like being chilled, let alone anyone else, and having 3 seconds to chill is quite annoying. But yeah, definitely puts the pressure on, especially if they need to be using any other high utility skills or anything like that. It restricts them for all their skill usages, which is great. So just time all your stuff within all that stuff. So just don't get blown away from blindness, which happens a lot, and people miss all their primary stuff in their fights because they get blinded and they use their big hits and then they can't utilize any of that stuff. So without further ado, let's jump right into what I am using. So water, I obviously have to have Soothing Mist. I run Soothing Ice. Nothing else in here is all that, like, yeah, stop, drop, and roll. It sounds good, but we're already kind of cleansing it. It really doesn't matter. This one is better for us anyways. Gain regeneration, a frost aura when critically hit. We're going to make critically hit a lot, and 20-second cooldown is going to be rolling through like it's, you know, going out of style. And getting 4 seconds of 520 free heals, which is nice, and getting that same duration for 10% less damage, which is fantastic, especially when we are going to be in Earth for a few times. Getting some extra protection, getting half the damage received for a short period of time definitely can make or break for you. So the next one is Healing Ripple. Heal nearby allies when attuning to water. 1300, which is nice, especially when we're not even spec'd in between that. We got Cleansing Wave. Remove a condition from you and your allies when attuning to water. So you just got remove 1 on 5 people, including yourself, with that short radius. So the radius does suck sometimes, but at least when you're fighting in a big cluster at like mid or whatever, at least within that it is relatively easy to cleanse someone just from immediately going to water. Healing done to allies increased by 15%, which is still nice because we get a little bit of extra healing even though that we're not expecting healing. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit tricky. So if you feel like that you do not want to use Powerful Aura, and if you feel like that you really need to use Cleansing Water for some reason, go for it. I mean, more kind of cleanse the better. But for me, I feel very comfortable just using Powerful Aura, which when you apply an aura to yourself, grants that aura to all nearby allies as well, which is on a 600 radius for 5 targets. So with this, when you're overloading, you can get a fire aura and a lightning aura when you're in air, and with a shocking is really great because when anyone is meleeing you, they will get stunned, which definitely helps out a lot, especially when you are in a pinch and someone is heavily bursting you and they end up just wrecking themselves just because they CC them. So we're going to be jumping down to Earth. Earth has Stone Flesh, gain toughness while attuned to Earth. We don't really care too much about that. Next one is Elemental Shielding. Grant protection when applying an aura to yourself or an ally. So yeah, here it is. We got an aura. Like, we got auras all over the place. Like, we got fire aura, water aura, air aura, earth aura. Like, everything is just going to give us a lot of protection. And that protection uptime is going to be very crucial. The Earth Blast, damage foes and cripple them for 3 seconds when attuned to Earth. Relatively nice, especially for cripple. I don't really like a dire need for like, oh, this is the reason why Earth is so great because of this. Like, it is like a minor trait for a specific reason. Like, no matter what, you're gonna have to have this whenever you are applying your stuff. So I'm gonna jump on to the next one. Geomancer's Training. You recover more quickly from cripple, immobilization, and chilling. Reduce recharge on all Earth weapon skills. So I have this just because chill, I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it at all. And being crippled sucks. And on top of it, I hate being chilled and crippled. And on top of that, immobilization. I hate all three of those. So by being able to recover more quickly from all this stuff definitely makes me less irritated. And with a little bit of the Earth recharge by that duration gives us the Obsidian Flesh and Magnetic Aura a little bit more leeway just because of they already have a decent cooldown, so they already shrunk by a little bit. You don't like, you could go rock solid if you really want to. If you want to go those secure stomps, you could if you feel like that you need to stomp. I leave the stomping to specific people that are kind of designed for the stomping, that have easier access to stability or invuln. Then honestly, we could easily do a stomp with Obsidian Flesh if we really want to. I do that a lot of times just because you're invincible. Like, you literally will not get hit while you're doing a quick stomp. So it's definitely a lot better than just forcing rock solid, just because 2 seconds of stability, you could easily get CC'd still. So let's move on to Geomancer's Defense. You take less damage from foes within close range, 10% reduction. So whenever we were just talking about this one, we get Frost Aura, 10% protection, 40%, so that's 50. And on top of this, another 10%, so we get 60% damage reduction, which is amazing. It's disgusting. I know it might seem like, oh, well, 60%, but you could definitely tell that you are able to withstand the stuff, especially when you are running like armor-based kind of trinkets, which, especially when you were running like the clerics, like when they were running clerics, like of course they were able to like dish out a lot of stuff. Like, they were already tanky enough, but having that extra healing on top of all this stuff like caused them to just take 40% damage. So now I have Diamond Skin. Remove conditions when struck while your health is above the threshold of 75%, which I like that it gives you roughly that 14,000. So if I just look at my health bar, as long as I'm above 14,000 HP, I'm golden. I will be losing condies left and right as long as I'm able to maintain, which you should be able to within a good standards, unless if you are somehow getting butt whoops or getting sideswiped from someone else. I don't really care for Written in Stone because I don't really find a need for any type of signets. Stoneheart, once again, I don't really care because, yeah, like, you cannot be critically hit, but at the same time, like, you're just camping Earth the entire time. So while you're camping that, you're kind of like losing out extra utilities for your entire team, and you'll still be getting pumped with a lot of condies, and I feel like Diamond Skin is the best suit for that. So now we go down to Tempest. Tempest has a singularity, obviously allows us to use the overload. We're not really going to talk about that because everyone that plays Tempest already knows about the singularity / overload abilities. So we're going to move down to unstable conduct. Overloading attunement grants an aura based on the element you're attuned to when the ability is completed. So fire shield, frost aura, shocking aura, and magnetic aura. All this other stuff allows us to either gain might from fire, the damage reduction, shocking aura, and magnetic aura. So if there is a lot of projectiles, we want to be overloading earth just as much as overload air, just to get the extra projectiles to put extra pressure on the opponent. And if there's a lot of melee going on, we want to be focusing on a lot more on the fire, so that way they're getting burned and we're getting might while we're getting attacked with that. And on top of with that, like I said, we need to have overload air as much as we can. Like as soon as that air icon pops back up, you need to be going to air and then just going ham on that, because shocking aura on top of the lightning that is being dished out is going to be putting a lot of pressure on anyone, and anyone that is noticing the red circles are wanting to get out of there because they know exactly what's going to happen. So let's move on to speedy conduct. So we gain swiftness when overloading attunement. Swiftness is nice, so we just jump on to the next thing since this doesn't really benefit anything else. So I like to run this one, Invigorating Torrents. Auras you apply also grant regeneration and vigor. So vigor gives us extra endurance and gives us regeneration as well while we are applying auras. So, you know, we have Feel the Burn, we have Flash Freeze, we also have Rebound, and of course our overloads and stuff. So with those auras, we grant vigor to ourselves, and since we have this guy right up here, Powerful Aura, when you apply an aura to yourself, grant that same aura. So guess what? Everyone else that is getting hit by all your stuff is going to get free vigor. So free vigor means more dodges, and more dodges means you're going to be staying alive a little longer. So that is definitely the best suit. You can go this route, but I feel like extra dodges will give you a little more support, even though this does break some stuns while you're getting CC'd. It does kind of come to good use, and getting that 10% extra damage within the 5 seconds. But since we're not running Marauders, I wouldn't be going this route. On a Marauder set, I would run this, which I will be showing on a future video of if you want to go complete glass cannon. But I don't want to talk about this right now because I don't want to waste time on this video about something else that I could easily be talking about on something else. So let's just continue on to the next section. So, hardy conduct. So we got gain protection while overloading an air attunement. Protection has increased effectiveness. So not only when we're overloading all our stuff, we are going to be gaining protection, which is just as equivalent to gain protection when applying an aura to yourself or an ally. So on top of that, all of our protection is lasted longer, which is fantastic. And with it being 20%, like everything else is going to be a little bit longer, especially when you're in the earth trait going to be overloading. So like we got the 3 seconds of all that stuff. But yeah, it's just great. And then the next one, Elemental Bastion. Auras you apply heal allies. Apply a frost aura to yourself and nearby allies when struck while below the health threshold. This one, yeah, the healing is quite low. I know, it sucks, but guess what? We're not running a healing build. We're just running an offensive defense support build. So the extra healing that we're going to be applying to ourselves is nice, and the ability to gain Frost Aura from this one on a 30-second cooldown for that 10% on top of this one. So we'll be getting 2 free Frost Auras within 30 seconds, which is fantastic. So with all the other stuff being said, I don't really feel like this build needs to be changed with anything else, especially if you're going the Menders route. You don't really need to move anything. Like if you're going to go Menders, the only thing that I would change air to think it's Sigil Transference. I think it's that one. Or you could do, oh my goodness, where is it? I think it was on the, Sigil Renewal, yeah. Heal nearby allies on weapon swap. So yeah, you could go for that one instead of air. And you would keep Soldier, but then you would just go Menders, which, oh my god. Where are you? Is it? Oh wow, it's under power. So yeah. So as you can see the difference, we're increasing our precision while maintaining the same amount of power in Menders. We're gaining the same amount of stats from the precision that we get from Menders for toughness, and having equal vitality and the substitute for the healing power. So we can look at the difference. So yeah, it's about double. So honestly, like, this is literally almost like the build for that. So I mean, if you want to go for the Menders, I would. If you want to go for the healing, but I prefer the Paladin aspect in my opinion, just because of the armor that I have. So I'm at almost 2700 armor on top of having almost 19,000 HP with 54% crit chance with a good amount of power. Yeah, I don't have the ferocity. I don't really care, because more power with precision, you're going to be doing more damage regardless without having like a lower crit chance. So with having like a low crit chance, see like 30%. So that's, yeah, like this is kind of like just flipping a coin when it comes down to, especially when you have air. So yeah, every like 50% chance on crit. That 50% chance is just going to proc, especially when you're overloading air. You're just going to be hitting like a lot. So I don't really have anything else in regards to this besides, we'll just go over like Lightning Flash and Tempest. Lightning Flash, definitely great to get in and out of a situation. We want to go on ledges and a couple other things, like if you're on like Legacy or Forest, like we need to kind of like go up to ledges if we're on like mid, especially like Legacy, like mid and all that stuff. We got all those ledges that if we are getting our ass handed and we need to get the hell out of there, we got to use Lightning Flash to go up one of those ledges and move out of the next point. And Rebound is great whenever you know you're about to get slaughtered. So let's just read it real quick. Shout and infuse your allies with arcane energy. Allies would take lethal damage while this is active. Ignore the death blow and are healed instead. If the effect expires naturally, it grants an aura based on your current attack, which is still nice. But if you do get blasted when you do have Rebound, at least you're going to get a free 2000 healing. But if not, for some reason you end up healing through it and getting it all up, with all these extra auras, like not only that you're be getting more vigor and regeneration, you'll be applying all these other stuff, and hopefully we'll be in a good aura that will allow it for our team to really get a good boost on all this stuff. So I don't really have anything else, at least on the top of my head, that I can think of. But if you guys have any questions in regards to either my build, what you guys are running, feel free to leave a comment down below. I would love to kind of see what everyone else is running, especially for the fact that everyone thinks that Ellie's going to be dead this season just because of the whole Cleric meta. And I think if you're a good Ellie, you'll just know how to play. Like you'll follow through just like we always do through all the other patches when they start changing a lot of things, and we'll roll through the punches. But yeah, I will be going on through some other stuff. So if you want to be continuing on with me, if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe if you want to see some future builds that I will be doing along with my Elementalist and a couple of my other classes that I normally play through my PvP realm. and we'll be doing more of like a thought critique. But I wanted to start going out with the Ellie, especially since Ellie got the most damage when it came down to the whole cleric aspect. So without me just rambling on and just being a fool like I always am, like I said, if you like this, hit the thumbs up. If you disliked it for some odd reason, if you just want to just dislike it, at least give me a reason why, so that way I can kind of like improve on whatever is going on, instead of just hitting just the dislike button and just not saying anything. It's kind of like a discouragement because I have no idea why you dislike it for whatever reason. Or if you just like it, that's cool too. But if you want to subscribe, like I was just mentioning before, for anything else in regards to either Guild Wars content or any other content that I'm doing Let's Plays on, feel free to do so. But I will catch you guys later. See you guys next time.